In the summer of 2019, Manchester City would spend €70 million to sign Atletico Madrid midfielder Rodrigo Hernandez and bring him to the Etihad after back-to-back Premier League wins. And well, after a slow start to his Man City career, finishing second in his debut season, having to fill in at centre-back at times due to ongoing injury crisis in Man City's backline. 5 years on from this transfer, Rodri has become not just the best player at Man City, not just the best midfielder in the world, but the best player in the world. The consistent high-level performances that he puts in, the clutch moments that he pulls off, and his just complete footballing profile have put him ahead of his competition, ahead of anybody else in his team or in football alone. And how did a holding midfielder at a 6, how did a 6 become the best player in the world? Because when you think best footballers in the world, you think Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar, Bale, De Bruyne, Aguero, Hazard. You think of players that have outstanding either skills, dribbling, passing, playmaking, or goal scoring. You don't think of somebody that does all of the less glamorous jobs like Rodri does, breaking up the play, dictating play, calming things down, winning the ball, interceptions, recycling possession, all of these things. You don't think of a player that does all these things, but Rodri is the best player in the world, and today we're going to discuss why. But before we go any further, please do not forget to like this video if you enjoyed, and comment down below if you think Rodri is the best player in the world, and if not, tell me who you do think is the best player in the world and who deserves the Ballon d'Or this season. Also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're very close to 400 subscribers and I would like to reach that goal quite soon, so definitely subscribe. It really does help the channel out, especially if my videos keep coming up and you're recommended and you keep watching. There's no harm in you subscribing. It's obviously completely free. And yeah, if you're new around here, this is the first video of mine you're seeing, please check out the rest of the videos on the channel. You would not be disappointed, and it might even encourage you to subscribe after seeing more of my videos. But anyway, let's talk about Rodri. So yesterday, as you know, Spain won the Euros, right? Against England. Very, very sad day, very sad day. But Rodri would finish the tournament, well, he would finish his tournament in the first half after coming off injured at half time, but he would also finish the tournament as player of the tournament. He would have played 6 games in the tournament and he scored 1 goal, with that goal being a crucial equaliser against Georgia in a game that Spain would go on to win 3-1. And he would also put in masterclass against France in the semi-finals, and he also played a very, very good game against Germany in the quarter-finals. So all of his knockout games were very, very good. Obviously, bar the final where he wasn't able to see out play any of the second half, and he was subbed off in the first half. But it doesn't just stop at his Euros performances, and that's not why he's the best player in the world. If you look at his performances for City this season, he played 34 matches in the 2023-24 season with 8 goals and 9 assists and 0 losses in any of those 34 games. And he only lost 1 game in 90 minutes last season and lost 2 games in total, obviously factoring in the Champions League penalty loss against Real Madrid on top of the FA Cup loss against Manchester United. And he just has important goals in big moments. He scored to win the title, to equalise, to help win the title in the last game of the season against Aston Villa in 2022. The Champions League final in 2023, he scores the only goal arriving late at the edge of the box. He scores on the final day to help clinch the title against West Ham last season. He scores big goals against Chelsea this season as well, and he just is inevitable. He's so good at being able to decide a game by himself, which is very impressive for someone that plays his position. And well, the most impressive thing I think of when it comes to Rodri is the transition between phasing Fernandinho out of the team and bringing Rodri into the team almost seems seamless, and that is very impressive when you consider the levels that Fernandinho was playing at for many years at Man City and how good of a player Fernandinho was at City. I think he's very underrated and he's one of the best defensive midfielders I've seen play, and we don't miss him at all because Rodri is better than him. And it's crazy to say because Fernandinho was very good, so to have his replacement come in and be better than him, it is crazy because Rodri is the complete player for me. He is exactly what you want in a midfielder. He's your perfect midfielder. He can create chances, he can score goals, he can break up the play, he's press resistant, he's actually quite good on the ball as well. He's quite good at dribbling especially for someone his size and his build. The fact that he is press resistant and he can dribble with the ball, it is very impressive. And I just think there are some downsides to his game, potentially his temper, the amount of bookings that he picks up, and sometimes in transition he's susceptible on the counter, with him not being the quickest player and the most mobile player at times. But they're not big holes in his game, and they're not things that hold the team back and hold him back. And Rodri is the glue in the teams that he plays in. The treble winning season in 2023 doesn't happen without Rodri. The league title in the season just gone does not happen without Rodri. If you look at all the games City lost in the league last season, games in which Rodri is missed due to suspension, and you think of this Euros win as well. Again, it doesn't happen without Rodri. You take Rodri out of the Man City team and you take Rodri out of the Spain team, and these title wins don't happen. And that is the biggest compliment that you can give Rodri, is that he makes these things happen. He might not be the sole reason it happens. He might not always get the glory, although he did in the Champions League final, obviously scoring the winning goal. But in the final yesterday, right, he only played 45 minutes. He didn't score or get an assist, right? So he doesn't get the glory of actually winning it for Spain. But fundamentally, and throughout every other game in that competition, he won it for Spain. And yes, he scored to make it 3-1 against West Ham on the final day of the season for City, but that wasn't the winning goal. It was the one that secured the win, but it wasn't the winner. But that doesn't mean that his performances throughout the season and the sheer contrast in performance between games where Rodri was available and Rodri wasn't available, you just look at all of that and then you're like, yes, Rodri is the best. These things don't happen without Rodri. And I honestly believe if Pep started Rodri in the Champions League final against Chelsea, I think Man City would now have 2 Champions League trophies to our name, because he is just that important. He's just that good, and I think he was the exact profile we were missing in that game. And it just goes to show that when he scored in the final against Inter, you look at his post-match interviews afterwards, he says that he said to Pep that he has to start and he can't make the same mistake twice. And what does Rodri do? He backs all of that up by going and scoring the winner and putting in a great performance against Inter. Obviously, he scored that cracking goal against Bayern in the quarterfinals even, at the Etihad, which is a great goal. And there are big moments like that in every competition that he plays. He scores very nice and aesthetically pleasing goals. Every time he scores, it seems to be him just absolutely lashing it into the back of net from the edge of the box. He's a joy to watch. And when you describe Rodri, if you were to describe Rodri to someone that hasn't watched him play before, he might not sound that aesthetically pleasing, he might not sound that fun to watch, he might sound a bit boring, but he makes it look fun. He makes playing one of the less exciting positions on the pitch look fun, sound enjoyable, and again, that's another one of the bigger compliments that you can give to him. He makes doing some of the more tedious activities look exciting. And he just is a joy to watch, and that's why I think he's the best player in the world, and I think he honestly deserves the Ballon d'Or over Bellingham and over Vinicius Jr. And, you know, he even had a case to win it last year. Obviously, Messi winning the World Cup and Haaland putting up those freak numbers that he was putting up in his debut season at City, obviously were two people that will get a lot more plaudits than Rodri for that season, but I think he was one of the best players in the world. And it's very criminal that he misses out on getting into Team of the Seasons and doesn't get nominated for PFA Player of the Year and stuff like this when he is this good and he puts in performances like this. And I'm just glad to see that he is getting the respect and the compliments that he deserves after this Euros final and after this Euros, and people are really starting to talk about him as not just one of the world's best, but the world's best, because he really is that good. And I just want us to be able to sign a backup for him at City, so he can get more rest, so his career can go on longer and he can play more football and play more seasons, because he's a joy to watch and he is Man City's most important player. He's the difference maker. Him, Haaland and De Bruyne are the difference makers at Manchester City. Take any three of those players out of the squad and City just don't look as good. Obviously, as you've seen from the 2.5 months that Haaland missed through injury, we weren't looking as great in front of goal. You look at the football we were playing before De Bruyne come back from injury, we weren't looking great, but there was always one constant. Obviously, other than his 3 games he missed due to suspension, Rodri was always there. Rodri was always holding it down, and Rodri was always keeping us in the title race. But obviously Foden would get a lot of the plaudits in those times where Haaland and De Bruyne weren't there, because he was getting the goals, he was getting the hat-tricks. But in reality, it was Rodri holding it down, and none of this success that we've had in at least the last 3 seasons anyway happens without Rodri. He is Pep's best signing. He's Pep's most important player, and he probably is Pep's favourite player as well, considering the profile that he is. He's very similar to what Pep Guardiola was as a player. Obviously, like, Pep's always got a little regen of himself. He had Busquets, now he's got Rodri. He just is a little Guardiola, but he's 10 times the footballer that Guardiola is. And I honestly think that Rodri is probably better than Busquets. I just think obviously Busquets has that World Cup win over Rodri, because he played in an absolute freak of a Spain national team that won 2 Euros and a World Cup. They were a crazy team. Like, you think this Spain team is good? That run they went on between 2010 and 2010 and no, was it 2008 to 2012? I can't remember the exact time period, but that was a joke of a team. And yeah, but not to take again anything away from Busquets, I just think Rodri is better than him. I think Rodri is the best player that I've seen play that position, considering how all-round and well-rounded he is. I probably think just on the defensive side alone, I'd probably say Kante is the best player I've seen play that position. But as an all-round player and everything he brings to the team, every part of his game, I think it is Rodri that he is the best to ever do it. And he deserves all the praise he gets now, and I really do hope he wins the Ballon d'Or. Not just because it would be great to see a City player win the Ballon d'Or, but he just deserves to get the recognition for these achievements. You have Foden winning PFA, Premier League Player of the Season. You've got Haaland winning multiple individual awards. De Bruyne has won multiple individual awards. It's Rodri's turn to be the standout individual and be the one gets all of the accolades, because he deserves it more than anybody in the City team and more than anybody in the Spain team, because he is that good. He is the glue. He is what makes these things happen. And I think when his career is all said and done, he will be spoke about like one of the greats, I think. And it's the same with De Bruyne as well. I think what hinders players like De Bruyne, David Silva, Aguero and Rodri, what hinders their legacy in the worldwide footballing world and like on the footballing landscape as a whole, is playing for City. But a lot of these world-class players aren't taken seriously when they play for City for a multitude of reasons, whether that is playing under Pep Guardiola, whether that is 115 charges, whether that is playing for a small club. You know, all of these things are used to discredit some of the absolute like outrageous talent that City have had over the last few years, and you've seen it happen as of recent with De Bruyne. De Bruyne gets discredited a lot for his achievements, and you know, it is sad to see, but I just don't want that to happen to Rodri as well, because Rodri walks into every single team on this earth. You've even seen Carvajal like basically beg Rodri to join Real Madrid, the best team ever, the best club ever, the most successful club in Europe, literally a winning machine, want to sign Rodri because he is that good. And if Real Madrid come around sniffing for your players, especially as a Premier League team, you've got to know they're good. Bale, Hazard, Modric, Courtois, Rudiger, just like some players, to name a few, of players that have went from the Premier League to Real Madrid. And bar Hazard's the only one there that I just named that didn't go on to be an absolute revelation for Madrid and go on to do special things, because they're such good players and were operating at such a high level, and Rodri is in that category. And you know, I'd be very, very upset if he went to Real Madrid, and I honestly don't think he would go to Real Madrid. He said he's happy in Manchester, and obviously he's got his Atletico ties as well. I couldn't see him going to Real Madrid, but if he did, I would definitely be upset, but I would completely understand it, because you know, he would win. His CV would look even better if he went to Real Madrid. He's got all the Premier League titles here. He's won everything in England. So you know, if he went over to Spain, won a few La Liga titles, probably 2 or 3 more Champions Leagues, especially with the team that they're assembling over there now, you know, his CV would look nuts. But you know, I hope he stays at City, and I hope he continues to win at City, because he's just that good. But you know, that's all I really have to say about Rodri. Obviously, I haven't spoke about the final at all in this video. I am going to make a video in a few days where I just look at England's tournament as a whole, and I probably just dissect the tournament as a whole, because I did try to sit down and make a video about the final, but I just couldn't really find the words. I couldn't really get the energy to speak about it. Every time I tried to speak about it, I was just so flat and demotivated to make the video. So I'm going to leave it a few days, then make a video where I talk about the tournament as a whole and where I think England can move forward from this. So, you know, I just took today's opportunity. I knew I needed to get a video out, and I needed to make a positive video, especially when I'm in like such a bad mood, hungover and everything. You know, I needed to make a positive video, and you know, Rodri, Ballon d'Or, like, you know, I took the silver lining from this Euros loss, which is Rodri's finally getting the respect he deserves. But you know, with all that being said, please like the video if you did enjoy. Comment down below who you think should win the Ballon d'Or and who you think the best player in the world is right now. And if you don't think it's Rodri, if you don't think Rodri's the best player in the world, please tell me why. I'm really excited to hear everyone's opinion on this. I really do enjoy reading your thoughts in the comments. It is one of my favorite things about making videos. Obviously, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like I said, close to 400 subscribers. It would be nice to hit that goal soon, and then we can keep pushing towards the big 1K goal, like where I said I will shave off all of this hair when we reach 1,000 subscribers. And now I think, you know, that's a good enough incentive to subscribe. And obviously, if this is your first video of mine you're watching, welcome, and please go out and check the rest of the videos on the channel just by clicking the channel page down here, or click on the videos that are going to be suggested at the end of this video. But with all that being said, I've been Nathan. I'll see you in the next video when I'm a little less depressed and not hungover. Peace.
Shut down cases, they belly dots to the can't see faces. Chasing the bad guy chase it. You don't wanna be the one like Ace and like G-Take trying to tell them I'm wasted. Aye, tell a bad bitch come break it. Body come mad, come shake it. Shit then, get back to the basics. Bro, done shut down cases. They belly dots to the